to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. On the show today, I have three pretty resourceful, out-of-the-box thinkers. For one, join me in welcoming back Stephanie Castillo, the principal of Rumble Interiors. She was with us episode number 391. And today, Stephanie is joined by Renee Fyall of D Interiors and Sam Mikel of Nest Design Studio. These ladies are all interior designers, all doing business in the city of Ellensburg, Washington. Ellensburg is sort of between Portland and Seattle, but inland, right? So here's the thing. It's a city of only 20,000 people, right? That's a rather small city. Now, wait until you learn what these three #smart ladies have created. First, I want to talk to you about Kravet. You know that Kravet is here for you during this challenging economic time. Kravet has been here for 102 years, and they want you to know that you can trust them to securely process your orders and keep your deposits safe, okay? You can also please take advantage of Kravet Inc.'s digital tools. You can set up a virtual appointment with your local sales rep, all right? All you have to do is log into kravet.com, all right? And don't forget, you can reach out to Kravet's 24/7 customer service team with any questions, all right? Can't find the fabric you're looking for? Don't forget that you have the digital Kravet Match tool. All you do is snap a photo, upload it, and let Kravet find you a similar product. All right. Now, Stephanie did a pretty bold thing one day, which I'm going to let her explain. All right. But after this bold move, Renee too did a bold thing, as did Sam. Renee and Sam, rather than be skeptical, rather than close ranks, they were open-minded, and together, these ladies created the collective interior. So instead of wary competitors in this small Washington state town, together, they are innovative entrepreneurs. I think you're going to like their story. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Renee. Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn. It's Stephanie.
Hi, LuAnn. It's Sam. Hi, LuAnn. It's Renee.
Ladies, I'm so glad that you're here. And I just want to say it's actually a welcome back to Stephanie. Stephanie, if you guys remember, was on the podcast episode 391. And she came on the show and she was telling us about the very, very beginning of her business and how she had just started thinking about that she might be going into collaboration with some other interior designers. And her and I sort of talked it through on the episode. And now here we are, a year or so down the road, and she has accomplished this with her two colleagues. So she's going to tell us a little bit about it. And I have to say that other than the episode with Lori Paranjape, there's been nobody that has come to me and said that we're doing this sort of thing. And I'm quite sure that there's others out there that are. But I know of Stephanie and Renee and Sam doing it. And so let's talk it through. Stephanie, would you start us off and just remind us of how this little, brainstorm happened and a little bit about collective interiors and what it actually is?
Absolutely. So I was trying to figure out, like you said, what I was going to do. And I had never spoken to another interior designer before. So I Googled interior designers in the town that we live in. And Renee's name came up, her business. And so I Instagrammed her and asked her if she would get coffee with me and mentor me. And she said yes. And then we met for coffee, and probably about 20 minutes after us talking, and I had a bunch of questions of how you do this. And I just said, I think we need to do something together. And she agreed. So we kept meeting for a few months, maybe not even a few months, maybe weeks. And then she had a coworker that she had been working with before, Sam. And so she said, you really need to meet Sam, and the three of us need to talk. And I said, okay. So the three of us talked, and we all hit it off very quick. And so we just kept meeting and kind of spinning all these different ideas about how we could make this work. And none of us really wanted to give up our own businesses to make one. So we were trying to figure out how to collaborate, keeping ourselves separate, but somehow working together. And it just kept coming back around to the same business model, which is we're space sharing, is basically what it is, glorified space sharing. So we all are in the same space. Renee and I share an office. Sam has her own office, but Sam is the main leaseholder on the space. Mm-hmm. And she also has the store, the retail space in here. So it's a, resource center for all of us to use, but it's also a interior design, decor, full scale store as well.
Okay. So first of all, a couple things in there. Renee, you get an email that says, or was it an email or a DM, Steph?
A DM.
Yeah, you get a DM that says, did you actually say, would you get coffee and mentor me, or just would you get coffee?
No, I said, would you mentor me?
Okay. So, Renee, you get this. Are you not are you kidding? That's asking for the fifth date on the hello. So, but you were open to it and you just said yes. And tell us a little bit about that, because I have to say the reason I'm picking this apart right off the bat is so many designers email me and say, how do I get a mentor? And I give them this big, long, you have to say what you're going to do and the parameters. And I'm thinking, maybe I should just say, send a DM and ask for it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of rare, though. Renee, what went through your mind?
I think the fact that she just reached out to me and was very straightforward. I am a straightforward person, and I like that she just said, hey, let's grab coffee. I'm interested in talking to you. We're in a small town. There's not a lot of other interior designers in this town. I'm one of maybe 3 or 4 that are actually practicing in Ellensburg. And so when someone reaches out and says, hey, I'm interested in being an interior designer, I'm going to school, I need a mentor, I was kind of like, that sounds awesome. Because I love working with other people. I like collaborating. And so it was kind of exciting to me, and I was intrigued. So I wanted to go have coffee with her.
Okay. I love it. That's awesome. I just love that Stephanie, you did it. And I love that Renee, you were open to it. So good for you guys. All right. So now the other thing that I want to talk about is, Sam, you have this retail store, Nest Design Studio. How many years have you been in business, Sam?
Well, the retail space is new. I've been an interior designer for almost 15 years now. Mm-hmm. But as far as the retail, I've ran retail stores for other designers. So that's where that experience comes from, and my love for classical design and furniture. And I'm more of a classical designer, and the retail store goes hand in hand with my projects. I really don't want to sit in an office without it and just work on projects. I like to be surrounded by beautiful things and furniture and have people actually come in. And I as well love people, and I want people to actually come in and feel things and sit on them and look at them. It's different than, taking samples. So that's where that stemmed from, my passion for furniture and decor.
And so you've been designing for 15 years. How long have you opened your own retail store? How long has it been there? Or is it new with this collaboration?
It is new with Collective, correct?
Understood. Okay. So now let's dig into that. So now the three of you start to meet. Renee and Sam know each other. Stephanie gets in with the group, and you all have synergy, and you all feel like a good positive vibe between the two of you. And then you decide to take a rental space because Sam has an affinity to this, a desire for it. She likes it. Was there any debate or question that oh, let's all have a retail space, or it's like, no, I'm Sam, I want a retail space. You guys can rent office space for me in my retail space. Like, how did that develop? I don't know who wants to take that. Renee?
LuAnn, this is Stephanie.
Okay.
Renee, I might speak for you here, but Renee and I didn't want a retail space.
Okay.
That was not in our thought process. And for Sam, this was like her big dream. She's wanted this. So that was kind of an easy.
Okay.
We wanted to support her, but that was, I don't want to have a retail store.
Okay. And so it probably made it more desirable for you, Sam, that when you go out and you risk and you put your name on a lease, that you're going to get the dream that you want to have this retail space, but you have the built-in people that are automatically going to deflect your rent by paying you rent. I'm assuming you guys are paying her rent.
Yeah,
correct. We are.
Okay. So I love that. That's like a win-win all the way around. The two of you, Stephanie and Renee, get a place to work out of, and like you said, you get access to the showroom and all of the things. And Sam gets what she wants, which is to be surrounded by the beautiful things and to also express herself through this retail store. Okay. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty of day to day. So customer XYZ is having coffee with her girlfriend, and she walks down the street and she's attracted to the retail store. She comes in, she starts to shop. Is she automatically Sam's customer?
I'll take this one, LuAnn. This is Sam. So anybody that walks in the door in the retail space, see, we have a unique relationship, the three of us. If they're just shopping for an item, that's fine. They shop, buy it and leave. But if it's more, there's more to it, they want a project so depending on the scope of the project, I will either, and I have an employee here as well, we will direct them to the right person for that scope. Like if I think, and sometimes they come in looking for a specific person. We all have our clientele, in our own right. Mm-hmm. So most of the time that's the case, but it just depends. Like one lady came in and she was more into what I felt it was more Stephanie's strengths. So I automatically gave her Stephanie's card. And so all three of us do that. So there's no scrambling to the door trying to get a client. There's plenty of work in town, and depending on the scope and the strengths, and we all collaborate. Renee and I have been collaborating on projects for years. So
there's something very special here that's happening, is that it sounds like each of you, just like is responsible, we're all responsible for, as business owners, knowing who our ideal client is that you have faith in that, and you each of you are having trust in that, so that if you were not in the same store and you were three designers working at three different parts of the country, if somebody was a right client for your friend, you would refer them. And just because you're in the same building, you don't veer from that. It's like if you honestly look and say, you know what, this is going to be better with Sam, or better with Renee, or better with Stephanie. Exactly. You pass it around. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. And I think, LuAnn, this is Renee, I'd like to add a little bit to that. And what we really care a lot about is supporting each other. And when what it comes down to is that when we all do good, we all do good. Mm-hmm. And so Sam and I are here more than Stephanie is, but, I'll go to Sam one day and I'm like, hey, what do you have on your plate? Like, I'm kind of freeing up. I just finished up a kitchen remodel, and I've got some things that I could make time for. What do you need? And Sam says, well, this lady came in the other day. She's looking at getting a couple bathrooms remodeled. I'm going out on Wednesday morning to take a look. Do you want to come with me? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Cause Sam's got a lot on her plate. So her and I go look at the job together. We're going to collaborate a little bit on it. Sam's going to pull a palette together. I'm going to, do some drawings and then put a bid together for the bathroom remodel. And, this doesn't mean that we have it all figured out. We opened in October, and there's still a lot that a few situations that we probably haven't dealt with, But at the end of the day, what we care most about is supporting each other and knowing that when one of us is doing good, the other one's going to do good as well. This is just about making sure that we are all happy with where we are, the workplace that we're in, and working together. That's our main goal.
That's amazing. So I love it. I mean, you guys are unbelievable. I'm going to say that about 50 more times. I'm sure of it. So let me get into that now for a second. So I hear the spirit of cooperation, and believe me, I think that I will just say I feel like I express the same living, breathing sentiment. I have all of the business coaches and the consultants that have been on this podcast for 4 years, and if somebody reaches out to me and says, I want you to be my coach, and I have a 20-minute conversation, I'm like, you know what? Michelle Williams is better for you, or Nancy Gansikaufer, or Kay Witter. It's the first thing I do. I'm like, not me. I'm not your girl. So, and I know that comes back to me even just in happiness and karma, right? So I'm on board with this, and I love it, and I applaud you for it. But when I refer Nancy or Kay or Nicole business, that whole business moves out the front door and works with them. And they do all of the work, and they do all of the stuff, and they make the contract, and I'm out of it. I don't get kickbacks. I don't anything. That's how it goes. But you guys, when you just described that situation, Renee, here it is technically a client of Sam's, and now you're going to go on it, and Sam's going to do palette work. You're going to do drawing work and proposal. Do you then, like, how does that happen? Does Sam then, call you out as a subcontractor? Like, maybe Sam, ends up presenting the pricing and takes the money, and all the money goes through Sam's business. But she'll say, hey, you know what, Renee, you ended up doing 10 hours and this is your hourly rate and I pay you out of that? Or is this really just a kumbaya thing at this point?
I think that, this is Renee again. I think that, like I said, we have not completely figured it all out yet. Okay. So there's still a lot of room for discussion. One thing that we made sure of in the beginning, as Sam and I have been interior designers for roughly about the same amount of time, we knew that we had to be the same hourly rate. I mean, it didn't make sense, for us to be a different rate. So I think with that being said, we would probably just keep track of our hours and essentially split it. And whether that means the client pays Sam and then she pays me as a subcontractor, like you said, or we simply ask the client to write 2 checks. I mean, I got to be honest, we haven't exactly set in stone how these things are going to go, but that's one thing that I like about this relationship is it's always a conversation, and we kind of just have that conversation, and then what works at that time or with that client is what we do.
Okay. So we haven't had a situation yet where it's really been either a lot of time or a lot of money at stake, where one of you would be like, hey, I ended up doing 20 hours and you got a $50,000 project out of that. Where's my cut? Like that hasn't happened yet.
That has not happened yet. No.
Okay. All right. So, and listen, just because I go to Inside Voice and I talk like that doesn't mean that I automatically have forgotten that your number one priority, you've said it a couple of times, is to support each other. But we do know that in the end of the day, business is business. And so even if it's just to keep your CPAs happy, right? Like there has to be a way to address this at some point when it becomes so for now, when it's happened so far in this short 3-4 months that you have been in this collective together, it's not been something where it's been so uneven where you felt like there need to be an accountability. It's like, oh, I helped Sam today. Tomorrow she helps Stephanie. The next day Stephanie helps Renee, and it goes around in a circle, and you're all smiling so far.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's cross into, I guess, because Sam has the retail store space, shall I assume properly that Sam has, at least with most of the accounts, stocking dealer pricing for some of the furniture lines and things like that, the advantage of being able to have the inventory and do that stuff. Is that the case?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And so So obviously, I don't even have to ask if you're allowing the others to order stocking dealer under your accounts, because I would fall over at this point. You're like, yeah, everything but that, right? So the point is that I'm assuming that's another advantage, that you get the advantage, Sam, because you have 3 businesses, contributing to your minimums with these stocking dealers, for the dealers for their stocking dealer minimums, and you other ladies are getting the advantage of ordering product at a rate that you would not be able to approach by yourself. It's almost like when somebody, we have the different trade showrooms around. I know Jeannie Chung has a trade showroom, right? So designers in her area out in Los Angeles come in and place orders through her, and it supports her business and it keeps her with her minimums. So is that what this is, you guys?
This is Sam. So they do get pricing. It's at my cost.
Okay, so whatever it is, whether you have stocking dealer or any of the other designations, which I don't remember all the initials for, but whatever it is, whatever your price is the price they get. You're not charging
Correct.
10%,
No.
20%, whatever.
No.
Okay. And are you doing the physical work for them to place those orders, or does Stephanie and Renee have access to your accounts and they can go in and place orders on your accounts?
Correct. Both.
Okay. So that's a level of trust that needs to be acknowledged, right? I mean, you guys are, look, Renee and Sam know each other a long time, but working in business is different than knowing each other. And of course, Stephanie is new to the whole situation, but to open up your accounts and say, here, go in, place an order whenever you want, right? That's what you're saying you're doing?
Yes, correct. We're all doing that. It's not just me, because we all have separate accounts with different companies and vendors, and depending on who needs what. Yes, we have like Renee mentioned, a document with all the vendors and passwords and what have you.
Okay, so for instance, Renee might have an account with XYZ person and you're all accessing that account, and vice versa all the way around.
Correct.
Okay. And it's still the level of trust is there. It has to be, because you're completely brutally naked to each other at that point. Anybody could run up your account and leave town. I mean, I know you're not going to do that, but by the way, it's business. Stuff happens, ladies. It does. So, okay. And so what is your mechanism for the record keeping of that, and how do you keep the money straight? So do you have a situation where you have alerts built in or protocols for when somebody is going into somebody else's account and placing orders?
Well, for instance, this is Renee, and, our accounts are set up with our emails. So of course, once an order is placed, like if Stephanie logs into an account of mine and places the order, I get the email. Mm-hmm. So then then a lot of times I'll forward it in an email to both Sam and Stephanie, and I'm like, hey, I just got this invoice, whose is it? And then one of them will be like, that was my order. And so I think that's part of it too, is each of our individual accounts that we have separately are attached to our business emails. So that's one thing. We don't really kind of have to let each other know, because it's like I get an email or I place a order for some blinds and it goes to Sam's email and then she forwards it to me and it's like, here's your order. Right. So we all kind of are able to see what each other are doing that way a little bit too. And again, because we are a little new to this as far as the retail end of things, we're still building that credit line with these accounts, right? Mm-hmm. So some of the accounts are credit based, but a lot of them are just straight up credit card, just cash based. So that's another side of it too, is I'll go place an order through Stephanie's account, but I just pay for it with my credit card. And then, so there really isn't that, it's very rare that there is necessarily that paperwork back and forth. That only really happens on occasion where I have to write Sam a check for something that I ordered. Most of the time it's just me paying it directly with my credit card.
Okay. And that's actually a good point to bring out, Renee, because it could be the way that you just do it, whether it's the way you guys will do it going forward, but anybody listening that's like, hey, let me get my buddies together and let's all rent a space and yada, yada. But I mean, there's something to be said for just having an agreement that everything is paid for upfront by a credit card, whether we have credit terms or not, because that keeps it clean, right? It just keeps it clean. Now, how about I'm going to assume that you're not tasking the account holder with the status checks and so forth. You assume that for yourself. If you've placed an order for your client, no matter whose account it is, you are the one that's like checking on if the CFA came or if they said that the die lot is out of stock or whatever. You're not looking at each other going, my goodness, I can't believe you didn't let me know. Or are you, because that's going to the account holder's email and therefore you need to rely on each other to communicate those updates to you?
LuAnn, this is Sam. Many times, 90% of the time, the companies would not divulge that information unless it's to the account holder. So yes, we are responsible to forward those emails and follow through.
Okay. So, I guess it also depends, and I don't necessarily need you to answer me unless you want to share it, but I guess this would also, the complications of this that go through my mind would also depend on the annual gross revenues of each of you. So if, you start to do, $1 million each, this could be a heck of a lot of emails hitting, Stephanie's account that are for Sam or vice versa. And the way I could see that happening is, do each of you have an assistant, or any of you have an assistant now that filters this stuff? Sam, you said you have somebody that works in the store, but do any of you have an assistant that oversees statuses and checks and follow-ups with the different vendors?
LuAnn, this is Sam. I have a bookkeeper that both of us kind of double team that. So yes, I'd like to see her be more involved in that aspect as we grow.
Okay. And Stephanie and Renee, do you guys have a bookkeeper, each of you?
Yes.
Yes. This is Renee. And yeah, I do have a bookkeeper as well. And then I have a full-time employee that runs the wallpaper side of things as well. But I think that you're exactly right. I think that as we grow, and hopefully that we do, we're going to probably reevaluate, and we're probably going to always be reevaluating, how we do things. Absolutely.
Yes, this is absolutely 100% a truth. And the thing is that it's every business has to do that. So it's not just you guys, because you're doing this together. All of us, the things and the systems and the things that we do that support $100,000 gross revenue business are completely different from a 500, from a 1 million. WindowWorks is just experiencing it now. We're just literally in the last 8 weeks revamping. I can't tell you how many systems we're doing, because we just grew by another 30%. And we're just looking around going, okay, it's almost like the bridge breaks, right? The bridge is creaking. And what supported a business, like I said, whether it's 100 to 500 or 2 million to 3 million, it needs to be adjusted. And so, of course, I can hear in each of your voices that you're open to always doing that. But that is something that you will need to always address. What works for you at whatever gross revenue that each of you are at now, hopefully this whole nucleus that you have will just do exactly what you wanted to do, help each of you grow your businesses exponentially, faster, better, bigger, more quality businesses because of the interaction, and therefore you're going to have these challenges, which will be, what they say, hashtag first world problems. Yay, I have a great business. Let me figure it out, right? Okay. So, all right. So I'm like, how about that? I'm a liking it. Where that whole is like, I got a 9,000 things, but I'm going to let it go for now, because for the most part, what I absolutely love is the sentiment behind it. I can see all of the positive things that will jump off from it. And it can also hear that each of you are not only intelligent, but willing to grow and adapt it as it morphs and grows. Okay. So Steph, I want to come to you now for a minute. you are the least experienced from a work product wise, just from interior design. I know that you're an experienced businesswoman from our first podcast episode together, but from strictly an interior design standpoint, you have the least experience. Tell us about what it's been like for you and some of the things that you have felt like have been major advantages working side by side and just being in the orbit of two women with 15 years each experience.
Well, I am incredibly lucky. First off, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have this. Because like I said before, I don't know any interior designers. I've never spoken to an interior designer. I had no idea what the day-to-day was. And these women do. And they know my answers to every question I've had, honestly. And I can come to both of them. They're very open. They're very willing. They'll usually just drop whatever they're doing and help me right then. We text each other all the time, every morning, in the afternoon. We're constantly emailing. I mean, they're fantastic. So for me, I feel like that's helped me catapult my business quicker than I would have without that support. And just being able to my office is beautiful. Just being able to come in and work in a place like this and be surrounded by all the pretty is very helpful. So yeah, no, I'm super lucky and I know that I am. And I'm
sounds
super
like
grateful.
Yeah, no, it sounds like to me, it's like it's really, a little slice of the most unique opportunity. It's how many times have you heard me say on the show that you're going to be better off if you spend some time cutting your teeth working for another firm. And this is like the best of both worlds, right? Like you're cutting your teeth basically working not for other firms, but side by side and being able to build your own business, but having that exact thing that comes from working for another firm is what you just said, being able to walk over to the desk and say, how do I do this? Or what's next, right? Awesome.
Yeah. And another great thing that I'll be like, what are you guys doing today? And Renee will be like, I'm going on a kitchen cabinet measuring job. I'm like, can I go? So she's like, sure. So they let me tag along on, I don't know that I want to do kitchens, but it's interesting to watch her in action. And same with Sam. Sam will let me go with her. Did it a couple months ago. She let me go with her all day. And I just went to all of her meetings with her and all of her client meetings. And that is absolutely fascinating to me. And that's not anything I would get working at a design firm. Well, maybe I would, but we don't have a design firm here. There's a furniture store, but there's no place I could get this kind of experience living in the town that we're in.
Well, and to your point, even if there was a design firm, it wouldn't necessarily, like the principal might look at you and go, no, you're going to hear pulling memos and doing this, right? Like it's different when it's a colleague and she's saying, sure, tag along. You know what I mean? You know what your cost to be open number is, Steph. If you got it covered, come play with me all day, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So
it's been great.
Interesting. I love it. What a tremendous gift for you and, for you, Renee and Sam, to be so open and sharing with her and teaching her. Now, just to be, just a little blunt about it, I get the feels. The feel goods. But Sam, there's a level that we could say, well, it was another portion of the rent that could be paid, and that might be the only practical reason, and that's a good reason. Renee, maybe your only practical reason, which is a good reason, is that, in order to have that rental space, if Stephanie wasn't renting it, maybe it would have put it over a nut that you needed. But is there something else the two of you, as seasoned interior designers, are looking at and saying, yeah, it's a two-way street. This is what Stephanie brings to the table for us?
Yeah, LuAnn, this is Renee. That was one thing that I kind of wanted to mention, is just to touch really quickly on Stephanie. I can't tell you how much Stephanie has changed my life, really. Not only is she an interior designer now and an incredible hair dresser, I guess I'm probably going to totally offend you, Stephanie, hair designer. I don't know what you want me to call you. You're incredibly talented. But she catapulted me into this community. I grew up in Ellensburg. I've lived here for 35 years. And Stephanie, who has not lived here that long, who's essentially new to the area, is, the on the board of the EDA, and I got involved in which is the Ellensburg Downtown Association. I should probably be specific about that. And now my husband's on the board, and Stephanie and I and Sam were going to all these events, and there's business after hours. And I started this Ellensburg Women in Business little kind of Facebook club, and we have an event tonight here at our space. And I'm not so sure I would have done that without Stephanie. I mean, she just launched me into this. I think Sam and I have both done our very first Facebook Live videos because Stephanie essentially, forced us into getting involved on social media. So she's incredible. But from the standpoint, I think if you could see our showroom, LuAnn, you would have a much better understanding. We have 2 cabinet lines in here. We have Canyon Creek and we have Yorktown. And one of the benefits to Sam and I, we both do a lot of kitchens. And as you know, when you open up a showroom, a lot of these companies do not give you free product, right? So to put a kitchen in here and to put a beautiful kitchen in here and an island and all these things, Sam and I split the cost of that. So, a big part of this is that when you talk about it working, I'm not so sure this would have happened without every single one of us at different, points along the road and what we brought to the table and what we decided to do. I have this, I don't do the furniture end as much, but I do a lot of kitchens, and I have this incredible kitchen showroom in this space that I was able to split the cost with Sam for. And, one thing that I did a lot at the last place that I worked was I bid a lot of jobs. I love the construction side of things. So I love being on the job site. I go bid replacing a floor or installing a walk-in shower. And Sam can do that, but it's not her favorite thing. So I'm often doing bids when she has a client, she needs a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel. I'm helping Sam do her bids and providing a price for her to give to her clients. And so, and vice versa with the furniture. I'm over here I don't know what couch to spec for my client. I need this type of thing. And first thing I do is text Sam. I'm like, hey, here's what I need. And within 10 minutes, I have an email that's like, hey, check out these suppliers. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. Because that's not where I have a lot of my experience. Mm-hmm. So I think what we bring to each other is, like you said, it's incredible. And I think it's extremely unique, and we're all really lucky to have kind of found and landed here.
It is. It's every single time one of you answers a question, I'm more and more in awe of not only, here's what it is. The effort and the thought and the synergy and the chemistry and the kismet, all of it. It's like, you said, you and Sam have known each other, Renee and Sam have known each other for years, and you never did this, right? So here comes Stephanie, this catalyst, and she's like, yes, and having met Stephanie, I love it. I can just picture, let's go, turn the camera on, we're going live. And you two looking at each other like, what are you kidding me, right? But I love it. I love it. And the thing is, it's just that it's funny because I had no idea what to expect when I asked, what does Stephanie bring to the table, and what she, knowing that she's brand new in the industry, but what she brings to the table is ridiculously important too. And I can see how it's benefiting the two of you as well. And that is what's so important with a partnership, whether it's between 2 people, 3 people, or 10 people, that everybody has to feel that they're giving and receiving, you see, because there would be a point where if Stephanie was only receiving, there'd be a point where it would be uncomfortable for her, right? You can't just be the receiver. And so as much as in the beginning of a relationship, you're soaking up that receiving, every one of us has it built into us to give too. And so, Stephanie, were you aware of that observation that Renee has had about what you've brought to the relationship? Has she shared that with you before?
Yes.
Okay.
Renee's very sharing.
That's nice. That's really nice, Renee.
Yeah.
That's, high five, sweetie.
I'm a little bit like you, LuAnn. I'm pretty blunt and straightforward.
We always know exactly how Renee feels.
And you're not from Jersey?
No.
No, I mean, that's also really, really terrific because, not everybody does share those things. Not everybody says the things that need to be said. And so you guys have such a great foundation. I'm like so excited for you. Now, tell me advice for any colleagues that might be thinking about it. There's 20 other parts of your business that we could pick apart in the way it works. But my gut feeling on it is that we almost need to wait another year to pick it apart again, because we have the way it's working. We have, hey, I place an order, I use her account, she gets an email, she sends it to me. Right now, it's not out of control. It's not able to be measured. I want you to think about that as you go forward, what kind of gates you might have on different things, and you'll probably access those, the opening and closing of the gates with your bookkeepers, hopefully each of you. But I feel like until you hit another year, we need to almost hear those problems. Like, what happened when all of a sudden everybody had, $100,000 worth of product on one account? Like, did they, you know what I mean? So, and it was all getting delivered, and what was happening and who was coordinating that. But before we get to that next year, tell me advice that you would give anyone listening that's thinking, I've got a couple of really good friends here that I would like to approach them and think about, the superpowers will be different. So Renee is great at kitchens and baths, and Sam is also good at them, sounds like prefers the design side of them as opposed to the construction and the drawing side of it. But Sam also has this love for the retail space. And then Stephanie is just the one that's the firecracker in the middle of it, of course, and making everybody go further, better, faster, right? So another group might have a different set of superpowers, but there still needs to be some guidelines, some baselines for what would you say the red flags are to look for, or the good things to look for when you see in somebody? Anybody want to field something around that?
LuAnn, this is Stephanie.
Go ahead,
sorry.
Stephanie.
One of the things that we talked about in the beginning is we sat down and we're like, okay, we need you to lay everything on the table.
Yeah.
Tell us your past. Tell us where you've been, what you've got, how much money do you have? We kind of all sat around and just laid it all out. And we had to work through some of that. There was some things, and we worked through it, and it was great. So for me, what has worked really well with these three ladies is, in the beginning, we said 100% honesty and 100% communication. We have to communicate. If you're upset about something, you have to say it. And that, for me, has always been kind of hard, and that they have helped me with that. Not that I've been really upset. I haven't been upset yet, but, just say it. What's on your mind? You got to speak it. And we all speak our minds. And whether or not that's hard, I don't know if it's hard for all of us, but for me it is. So that's been a huge part. And now that's easy. Now I don't think anybody has a problem with that anymore. So, having our weekly or bi-weekly get-togethers, Sam was gone for Christmas, so we all got back together after about 2 weeks and just what's going on? What's everybody doing? Where are you at with this? What do you need help with? That's been a huge part of our success, is our willingness to communicate and our willingness to be honest.
I love it.
Who else was said?
Say it again.
I said beautifully said. This is Sam. I was going to mention our Friday night wine dines that we have.
Yes.
And essentially that's the same thing, just checking on each other, and not only on a professional level, but a personal level too. We're there for each other. I think that's important because we're very busy. Our jobs are very stressful. Stephanie has another job. So to actually sit down for Friday night wine downs, in a calm place where we usually do it here in the showroom, and just talk. Like friends, like colleagues, and without all the stress and running around and things being delivered. And that's become one of our favorite times, have a little snack and talk we grow closer together the more we do that.
You know what it is? It's like date night in a relationship.
Exactly.
Right?
Seriously, yeah. We need it. We have to have it.
It's the truth. I mean, you guys have heard me on the show. Friday night, I'm going to be on a bar stool next to the Vin Man because, every once in a while, we're both exhausted. And he'll be like, are we really going to go out? I'm like, because if we don't, we're going to have like a bowl of soup at the kitchen table. It's going to be done in 5 minutes. You're going to watch a ball game. I'm going to go back upstairs and work. Yes, we're going out. You know what I'm saying? Because it makes you stop and sit still and do just what you just said, Sam. Check in and how is it and what's going on and stuff like that. And I just really value that night. If I get it 2 or 3 nights in a week, great. But it's a non-negotiable that it happens at minimum 1 night a week. And so awesome for you guys to intuitively build that into your process, because I have to say, to your point, Stephanie, with the honesty and speaking your mind and not holding back on communication, it is I would tell you, it is because you have developed that mechanism for that event that it, number one, fosters closeness, and number two, fosters trust. But it also makes it so that if something's really on your mind Wednesday, by Friday you can bring it up to the group, as opposed to, my God, I really needed to talk about this and it just got so busy and I needed them both here and they're not both here, right? I mean,
yes, you are on the right track. Absolutely.
Okay, good. I love it. All right. So one other thing I do want to say, I thought it was interesting, and I'm happy that you mentioned, being an open book regarding the money and understanding where you each come from and what you have. Because you remember when we had our conversation originally, I was like, have you done a background check on them? Like, you're going to rent a space with them, right?
Yeah. And after we spoke, that I made them listen to the podcast, and then that was one of my things, was like, we have to lay this all out. Mm-hmm. And they were willing, so it was
sure.
Cool.
Yeah, no, they're good ladies. I can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I said to you. I said, it's not that I expect either one of them to be bad. If either one of them was on the show, I'd be saying the same thing to them. We're going to be in business together. We need to know these things about each other. And then the other thing that was curious is, on your personal level, are you at similar stages in your life regard to family life with kids, no kids, and all of that stuff? Or do you have very divergent personal lives?
Our personal lives are very different, I think.
Yeah,
yes.
I would agree.
Yeah. I'm the only one. This is Stephanie. I have kids, and Renee has dogs, and Sam is what are you doing, Sam? You have cats?
My cat just died.
Do you have?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh God.
No. How about like an iguana? Do you have an iguana? Oh, Sam, you know what? My mother one time, because I'm a person that I don't even want to admit this because I know it sounds so horrible, but I don't even like to have plants in the house. Not because I don't like them in the house, but because I always said I can barely get the humans in the house that I'm responsible for, cared for, and fed in the middle of my day, right? And so one time my mother, she used to always, this has stopped many, many years ago, but like the first 5 or 10 years I was married, every Easter, every Mother's Day, she'd walk in with a blasted plant. And I would, like, the first 4 or 5 times, I'm like, thank you. Finally, I'm like, would you please stop giving me these things? You know what I mean? And she's like, she's looked at me. She's like, what? I'm like, honestly, it's just a race to how fast I kill them. Come on. Like, I don't want them like this, right? So then she was like, my mom is awesome. She gets me. And so even if she probably had a tinge of like, you are the biggest brat on the planet, even though you're 30 years old, she also gets the realism of me, right? And so the next time she comes in and she's like, she brings in this thing and it's a cactus. And she's like, even you can't kill a cactus. I'm like, don't challenge me. You know what I'm saying? So we don't always have to have other things and people to take care of in order to have a very full, busy life, right, Sam?
Yes.
Exactly. So, okay. All right, guys. You guys have been really, really awesome. I just love what you have built up together. And of course, it is brand new. It is only 4 or 5 months old as we're talking about it. And it will be interesting to see how it grows and develops and the pivots that you need to make and the new systems that you put in place to accommodate this really unique thing that you have created. I congratulate the three of you. It's awesome. Thank you so much for wanting to share it on the show.
Thank you, LuAnn. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been incredible to be able to do this with you.
A big thanks to Jaipur Living for sponsoring the podcast. Have you opened your trade account yet? Just go to jaipurliving.com/LuAnn. That's JAIPUR living.com/LuAnn. Jaipur Living has tons of inventory right here in the U.S., so you can specify and sell a gorgeous, beautifully designed and artfully made area rug to your virtual and e-design clients today. Go to jaipurliving.com/LuAnn. So what did you think about Stephanie, Renee, and Sam? Outstanding, right? I love how each appreciates the others for how they enhance and help each other out, okay? There's no worry about this is my this or your that. It's always, how can I help you? How can I help you serve your clients? How can I help you improve your skills? How can we be better together? And how can we together attract more clients to all of us? OMG. I just love it. All right. Now, the other thing I really loved was the three-way promise to each other, 100% communication, 100% honesty, and the responsibility and the safety to always speak your mind. So good. So important between partners. I know from being partners, Vin, Bill, and myself all these years, that we certainly have not always agreed. I mean, I know, shocking, right? But we have always agreed to speak kindly, respectfully, and to always listen. This is absolutely critical. And the other thing is the Friday night wind down. I love this. This is how, as I said in the show, you ensure that the important people in your life, in your real life, your business life, when you make that weekly space right there that you know it's coming up, it gives you that place to feel free so that you know you're going to be able to speak up. Because, you're just knowing that it doesn't have to be a formal, let's have a meeting and talk about this stuff, right? Right? It's just like I said, it's like date night or it's like family dinner night. When your family knows that you're going to see each other's eyeballs every single night, you're much more likely to come there open-minded and to share anything and everything, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. And these ladies have got it right by giving themselves that space so that they know that comfortably they're going to be able to work through everything. I just love it, I've got to say. So sometime in 2021, we're going to have Stephanie, Renee, and Sam back. We'll see if they hit any speed bumps. Of course, there's always speed bumps, all right? Not going to be surprised, but I'll be interested to hear what kinds of things challenge them. And also, of course, to learn how they work through it and to hear what new ideas that they have created for collective interiors. All righty? Looking forward to that. So that is our show for today. Later this week, we'll have a new What Would Lu Do? So look out for that. In the meantime, I want to say, stay safe, stay sane, and decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.